Hello YouTube, Mr. Gibson guy here, new video for you today. We're going to be looking at these new proposed gun control measures that have suddenly been unleashed upon us in kind of a deluge. And there's plenty of negative to say, but I'm going to try to see if there's some positive aspects of it that can be helpful to us, that we can use, and possibly some of the things we need to do here with this. Pretty scary stuff, and there's lots of it, and it appears that the Democrats are in a position where there's not much we're going to be able to do to stop them. And even though they can sometimes come up with this is never going to pass. They don't write things to not pass. They write things to show us what they're going to do. I have come across people that I know, and probably you have too, Democrats who we used to try to argue with rationally or discuss things rationally and debate. Now so many of them are throwing up their hands and giving up because this pendulum has swung so rapidly, so far to the left that they don't, I had a Democrat, lifelong Democrat I know told me just the other day that the Democrat Party doesn't exist anymore. It's just become the Socialist Party. And they really have just gone absolutely insane with what they're doing. And we're going to look at that because, this is an opportunity for us to get a hold of all these people who have been sworn to being Democrats for their whole lives that just no longer can justify that, and they finally have to open their eyes to reality. Before we do that and go on with that, let me show you firearm of the day. Yes, you probably are firearm people here. This is my firearm of the day. Not what you were expecting? No, it's not an automatic or anything like that. This happens to be a Kentucky percussion pistol. Now, percussion pistol takes percussion caps. It's not a flintlock, doesn't have a fire pan in it or anything like that. It takes a percussion cap in here that makes a little spark, goes in, and otherwise this is a regular muzzle-loading pistol. It's obviously not a repeater, it's a single shot. It's empty, yeah. Comes with a ramrod, all that stuff. This was a kit that I purchased and built, which is kind of interesting. You don't have to go through an FFL. You can buy these online. You can walk into a store and buy them, anything like that. But you have to have black powder and musket balls, all that sort of things that go with it. I don't have the stuff to shoot it, but I built it. The kit is not, you don't have to be a master technician to do this, but it's challenging, and to build one of these takes a great deal of perseverance. The parts don't just go together. You don't really need a chisel. It's just a chisel. You can use a Dremel and some sandpaper, but you have to adjust all the wood. It's got a birch stock to it. You have to, sand it, finish it, all that. But you have to fit all these parts together, and it's really surprisingly tight tolerances and everything, and shows you how, the amazing thing, how they built firearms with the, pre-industrial revolution technologies that they had then, and the ingenuity that went into making something like this is really amazing, and you get to appreciate it when you build one. This is as I said, 50 caliber black powder muzzleloader, which to get back to our subject, under these plans that we're looking at for gun control, this gun is illegal. It's a over 220-year-old design, which Joe Biden says we can't have. This is too dangerous. Think about that for a minute. All right. Shelia Jackson Lee, Democrat, Texas, proposes House Resolution 127. I'm not going to go through 60 pages of all the garbage that's in this. I'm just going to focus for us, for our purposes, on one aspect of this. Just one simple part of it. This is registration requirements. This will cover all current owners and future purchases. For all current owners, this report must be sent to the Attorney General in the next 3 months. You are to inform the Attorney General of the U.S. of the make, the model, the serial number of your firearm, the identity of the owner and your physical address, the date the firearm was acquired, where the firearm will be stored, and the identity of any other person who may use this firearm. All new purchasers must report at the time of purchase. All this information will be added into your buying your gun. Here we go. All info will become public record. I'll read that again. All of this info will become public record, published by the government. Failure to comply will result in a minimum fine of $75,000 and a minimum prison term of 15 years, or both. Now, when you present this to a liberal, I don't know just how shocking this is going to be, but their programmed first response is, oh, well, it will never become law. They don't write bills, resolutions, because they don't intend on making them law. They write them because they are showing their base, this is what they are going to do. They may have to do it a piece at a time, but this is who they are. This is what they do. And every time somebody says that, that's phooey, spit in their face. There's nothing to back up the claim, oh, well, they won't really do it. That's a slap in the face. Do not accept that. And then turn around and say, all right, all of these things that they're demanding, how does this address school shootings? Because that's the reason, Joe Biden just said it, that's the reason that we have all of this new gun control, is because of school shootings. We've got to act. How does registration affect that? How does letting other people know your address and what your valuables are help with school shootings? It doesn't do anything of the sort. These people are socialists, and that's all there is to it. That's the whole idea behind it. Some people on the left will be opposed to to gun firearm ownership, which is against the Constitution of the United States, but more than that, they take a principled stand because they say people shouldn't have guns, the government should take them away. That is socialism. That is communism, right there. Why? Because that's saying the government determines your life, what you can and you can't do, and the government can then go in and take away what they decide you can't own. Now, what you own is your property, things of value which you have worked to make money. You spent that money to purchase, whether it's a gun, or it's a vehicle, or if it's a house, property, jewelry, gold. All of those things are items of intrinsic value, which in a free society, like what we have been living in, people are allowed to own. Ownership meaning it's yours. Nobody can take it from you. Socialism, there's no such thing. It is the collective. Everything belongs to everybody, so nothing belongs to anybody. So anything can be confiscated, can be taken from you, because you don't own it. And then when you get into the actual socialist system, then it becomes communism, which means you don't own anything, I don't own anything, they own it all, because they're the boss over everybody. We're nobody. We just comply and do what we're told to do and think what we're told to think. And that's their goal, because socialism is the way for them to come in and take everything under power of government. That's what a socialist government is. They will be in power. No one can oppose them. Opposition is not allowed. Now, how do we use this to, I could go on and on about this, to address this whole thing? For all these people who don't think you should own guns, let's look at the registration requirements. Only instead of the item of value which they are confiscating, let's not use firearms. Let's use your jewelry. Because you see, after they take away your firearm, then they can take away everything else, because you can't defend yourself. So, to all of our friends on the left, let's take Shelia Jackson Lee's bill and apply it to the jewelry and the gold, the diamonds that you have. The government requires you to register all of your jewelry and valuable items. You are to register all current items of value, all your present jewelry, and any future jewelry which you may come into possession of. You have 3 months to report to the government all of your valuable items. You are to include the make, the model, serial number of your jewelry, photos of the jewelry, give us the identity of the owner and the owner's address, the date all jewelry was acquired, any other person who may be using that jewelry. New buyers will report at the time of purchase. All info, all this data will become public record. Failure to comply result in a minimum fine of $75,000 and a minimum prison term of 15 years. The government will make the list of all your valuables and where they are stored available to anyone in the public who wishes to find out what they want, so they can go in to your house and take it from you. And there's nothing you can do to stop them. Now, what do you think of Shelia Jackson Lee's HR, House Resolution 127? Are you in favor of it? Because once they do it for guns, they do it for everything else. And so when you ask your friends on the left to defend the registration requirement for their jewelry, see what they say. Thanks a lot. I'll see you next time.